Imagine your brain as a high-performance engine. It never stops running. Even in the deepest hours of sleep, it remains locked in a relentless cycle of management. It tracks the rhythm of your heartbeat, regulates the cadence of your breathing, and constructs the complex architecture of your dreams. This machine is constant, it is sophisticated, but it is not self-sustaining. This engine requires specific fuel to function at its peak. Every cell, every synaptic firing, and every spark of thought depends on the quality of the intake. The food on your plate acts as the primary source of energy, determining whether your mind cruises with precision or stalls midway through the day. You are the operator of this system, and every choice you make at the table alters the output of the machine. Today, we explore the science of how your diet shapes the very mechanics of your mind. You are not just eating for hunger, you are providing the raw materials that decide if your engine thrives or if it begins to fail under the weight of poor maintenance. The power to dictate your cognitive future is already in your hands. Consider your focus first. It is the output of your mental engine. When you feed your brain complex carbohydrates like whole grains, the system receives a steady stream of glucose. This is the premium fuel it craves. Your body releases this energy slowly, like a well-regulated burn, keeping your thoughts sharp and your alertness consistent for hours. You remain in control. Now, contrast this with the alternative. You reach for a sugary snack in a moment of weakness. Your blood sugar spikes instantly, forcing the engine into overdrive. But the surge is deceptive. The spike is brief, followed immediately by a precipitous drop. Your brain loses its primary power source. The result is immediate and physical. You feel the fog rolling in. Your eyelids grow heavy. The clarity you held only an hour ago vanishes, replaced by a sluggish, throbbing fatigue. You struggle to pull a single coherent thought from the haze. This is the crash, a direct consequence of a poor fuel choice. You are not just tired, you are stalling. Your mental productivity halts, leaving you trapped in the aftermath of a spike that promised energy but delivered only exhaustion. The difference between peak performance and total collapse is defined by the chemistry on your plate. Your mood is not a mystery of the psyche, it is a delicate balance of chemistry, and your pantry is the laboratory where that balance is set. Think of your brain as a finely tuned instrument that requires specific compounds to maintain its equilibrium. When you consume nutrients like tryptophan, found in eggs and nuts, you are providing the essential building blocks for serotonin. This is the chemical anchor that stabilizes your emotional state, keeping you resilient when life demands more. Contrast this with the lack of these building blocks. When you choose highly processed foods, you deprive your system of the raw materials needed to manufacture this stability. You effectively leave your emotional center undefended. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in oily fish, act as a structural shield for your emotional health, buffering the brain against the internal pressure of stress. Without these, your vulnerability to anxiety increases, not because of external events, but because your internal chemistry is running on a deficit. You are not just eating for pleasure, you are actively dosing your brain with the chemicals that dictate your ability to remain calm. Every time you scan the shelves, you are deciding whether to provide the tools for emotional strength or to leave your mind exposed to the tide of anxiety. The choice is a deliberate act of self-preservation. Now, look deeper into the architecture of your memory. Your brain is a vast, intricate web of billions of neurons, each one a tiny point of contact firing in a massive, synchronized dance. This network is not static, it is constantly rebuilding, pruning, and reinforcing its connections. To maintain this complexity, your brain requires a steady supply of antioxidants and healthy fats. Think of these as the structural components that keep your internal network from fraying. When you consume berries and leafy greens, you are flooding your system with compounds that fight off cellular stress, preventing the oxidative damage that tears at your neural pathways. Meanwhile, olive oil and salmon provide the essential fats that act as the very mortar between your neurons, forming the physical basis for new memory. Neglect these resources, and the network begins to fail. Signals slow down, connections weaken. The vivid, precise details of your life begin to blur as the infrastructure degrades. It is a slow, quiet process of erosion. But by choosing the right fuel, you can shield these connections from decay. You are not just consuming food, you are actively performing maintenance on the most complex web of information in the known universe. Every bite is a choice to either fortify your capacity to remember or allow the connections that define your identity to drift apart. The most surprising connection in your body is not found within your skull, but within your intestines. Science calls it the gut-brain axis, a direct line of communication between your gut and your mind. Inside you, trillions of bacteria are working in a silent, constant dialogue with your brain. This is not a distant relationship, it is an active, ongoing exchange that shapes your capacity for thought. When you nourish these microbes with fiber-rich foods and fermented items like yogurt, you are effectively tuning the frequency of your own consciousness. Think of your gut as a secondary engine room. When the bacteria here are healthy, they send signals that sharpen your focus and clear the static from your thoughts. You can feel the difference in the velocity of your decision-making. Conversely, when you ignore this internal ecosystem, the communication lines become cluttered. The clarity you seek in your mind depends entirely on the environment you cultivate in your gut. It is a profound realization that your ability to think, reason, and perceive the world is tethered to the health of these microscopic organisms. By providing the right fuel, you are not just feeding yourself, you are supporting a vast, interconnected network that keeps your mind running at its peak. Every meal you choose is a message sent directly to your brain, influencing the very quality of your internal reality. Now, consider the cost of neglect. When you consistently deny your brain the nutrients it requires, the internal network does not simply stop, it begins to fray. Think of your neurons as a complex, illuminated circuit board. When the fuel is absent, the connections dim. One by one, the synapses fail to fire with the necessary intensity. You witness this decline in the stutter of a thought that was once fluid. You see it in the sudden, sharp gaps in your recall, where information should be but is not. This is not a sudden failure, but a creeping, systematic erosion. Without the steady support of antioxidants and essential fats, the structural integrity of your cognitive engine begins to buckle under the weight of daily cellular stress. The signals that once moved with lightning speed now crawl through a thick, sluggish haze. You feel the delay in your reflexes, the frustration of a mind that is physically struggling to maintain its own coherence. This is the sound of an engine stalling in real time. The internal crisis is quiet, yet it is absolute. If these connections continue to degrade without intervention, the loss of clarity becomes permanent. The bridge between your potential and your reality is burning, and the fire is fed by every poor nutritional choice. The crisis is not coming, it is already within the architecture of your mind, waiting for the next meal to either mend the break or widen the rift. Look past the immediate demands of your morning. Look 20, 30, or 40 years down the road. The brain you inhabit in your later years is currently under construction, and the materials you provide today determine its structural integrity. Every meal acts as a permanent entry in a blueprint that cannot be erased. When you choose poorly, you are not just experiencing a temporary slump, you are actively undermining the foundation of your future self. Think of the long-term erosion of your memory as a slow, quiet collapse of a structure that was never properly reinforced. The fog you feel today is a warning light on a dashboard, indicating that the engine is burning through resources it cannot replace. This is a high-stakes survival game. If you continue to fuel your mind with debris, you ensure a future of cognitive fragility. You are building the vessel that will carry your consciousness through your final decades. Will it be a machine that runs with precision, or one that has been hollowed out by years of nutritional neglect? The power to protect your future is not in a medical scan or a distant hope. It is sitting on your plate right now. You are deciding today whether your mind will remain clear and sharp or succumb to the slow, irreversible decay of an unmaintained engine. There is an alternative, a way to reinforce the structure before the damage becomes absolute. The Mediterranean approach is not just a diet, it is a tactical defense system for your brain. When you introduce healthy fats like olive oil and omega-3s from oily fish, you are not merely eating, you are installing a protective shield around your neurons. These fats provide the essential lipids required to maintain the sheath that insulates your neural signals, ensuring they travel without interference. Pair this with the dense, vibrant nutrition found in leafy greens and diverse vegetables. These foods deliver a concentrated load of antioxidants that neutralize the cellular stress that otherwise burns through your neural network. It is a deliberate, daily fortification. You can see the shift. Where once there was the sluggishness of a failing engine, you introduce the premium fuel that keeps the mechanisms greased and responsive. This is where the narrative changes. You are no longer watching your potential erode, you are actively engaging in the preservation of your own clarity. Every serving of salmon, every splash of olive oil acts as a physical barrier against the tide of cognitive decline. You are choosing to keep the light on. You are choosing to keep the circuit board intact. This is the moment where the balance tips back in your favor, transforming your kitchen into the primary command center for your future health. The time for passive consumption is over. You stand at a threshold where every single bite functions as a definitive command to your biology. Do you see the debris, The processed sugars, the artificial fillers, the empty calories that offer only a fleeting spike before the inevitable crash. Every time you reach for these, you are pouring grit into a high-performance engine. You are forcing your brain to grind against its own components, accelerating the wear until the system stalls. Now, consider the alternative: the premium resources, the vibrant, nutrient-dense fuel that provides the clean energy your neural network demands. This is not a matter of preference, it is a matter of mechanical necessity. The engine does not care about your cravings. It only knows what you provide to keep it running. By choosing Debris, you are actively voting for a future of fatigue, fog, and internal friction. By choosing premium resources, you are investing in the precision of every thought you will ever have. The ultimatum is absolute. You cannot have both. You must decide which version of your mind you want to inhabit tomorrow. The engine is idling, waiting for your next input. What you put in your mouth today determines the output of your consciousness for the rest of your life. The power is not in the abstract, it is in the tangible, physical reality of your next meal. The tension dissolves the moment you reclaim your agency. You are no longer a victim of your cravings or the victim of a failing clogged system. You are the architect. Picture the engine now, firing on all cylinders, smooth, responsive, and primed for the challenges of the decades ahead. When you prioritize the fuel your neurons actually require, you are doing more than simply eating. You are building a fortress for your focus. You are stabilizing the chemistry of your mood, ensuring that anxiety finds no purchase in your day. You are cementing the connections that allow memory to remain sharp and reliable. This is the power you hold in your hands every time you approach a meal. The choice is quiet, deliberate, and entirely yours. You possess the blueprint for your own cognitive longevity. There is no mystery to it, only the consistent, physical application of better resources. Take that knowledge into your kitchen. Let it guide your hand toward the vibrant, the fresh, and the restorative. You have the tools to protect your mind today, tomorrow, and for all the years that follow. The engine is yours to command. Keep it clean, keep it fueled, keep it thriving.